Action.
It's a battle for America right now. And because America is the richest, most powerful nation that's ever existed, everyone from around the world says, I'm entitled to that, right? And I think that a lot of the liberals, they say, hey, we went and fought wars in this country. And so since we fought wars in this country, then that means that those people in that country are entitled. I'm like, wait, do you not understand what war is? Wait, do you think I go and fight wars so that I can pay for the war that I just fought? No, I went to go and get territory. It seems like we've gotten to a place where we're being our comfort, our luxuries have made us irresponsible.
Come on.
We fat and lazy, and that's where we at right now. And I think a lot of the black ideas that affect the black community are a byproduct of that luxurious nature. We forgot that like to get the rights that we have, people have to fight and sacrifice their life to get here. And then we look at some people, 20 million people show up, and then all of a sudden they're entitled to the thing that my great grandfather worked and dedicated his life to have. And I'm so curious. I'm like, hold on. It's not as if Mexico isn't right there. Like, damn, hey, work hard, be a politician, build your institutions. Man, if you want to come like to and get a visa to go to school, hell yeah, come learn and take those ideas right back home. Is that crazy for me to say this thing?
Nah, man. Nothing you said is crazy. It's something I've been talking about a lot. I've been speaking of this very thing. It's been the center of a lot of my conversation. It has shifted to talking about immigration, but understanding history. Because really, for the first time in history, black folk are being mentioned in a way that they had never been mentioned before. Because we've always fought for the right to just be a citizen. So when an American president gets up on stage and say the 14th Amendment was about you, it was addressing that.
And when you say we, I think just be very
Black folk,
specific.
black people,
Like
go ahead.
what black person represented black rights at any point in time? What black person passed any type of black legislation for black people at any point in American history?
Are you getting at the fact that white people had to do it?
I'm just saying we didn't do it. And when they wrote the law, they didn't write it and said they didn't say freedmen,
Right.
they didn't say lineage based anything. They wrote the law in such an ambiguous way that they're using the law now as if it does pertain to these people who just show up.
That's true. But here's the deal. Outside of context, we see it that way, that black people didn't have any type of, is that what you're getting at?
I'm saying law doesn't have context. Law operates in one very specific way, as it is written, and then
Not with the 14th Amendment.
it might go up to the Supreme Court. It's up for interpretation.
When you tying in the Dred Scott case all the way to the 14th Amendment, when you get the understanding in the context of why they wrote the law, they have it there. That's why they're talking about it. I mean, this is a known fact. When we just looking at the law and we're just trying to interpret it as it's being given to us, then sometimes we don't understand. But this is why they're saying that. And this is just go ahead.
They argue the law, like that's what they do.
Right.
They argue the law.
It's gonna be argument
in lower courts, and then it goes from lower courts and it gets to Supreme Court. When it gets to Supreme Court, they interpret the law and they say, "I think that this is what it meant." And depending on who's in the court, if it's 9 people, is it 7 people? It's been as high as 9 people. Do conservatives have the majority? Do the liberals have the majority? And then depending on who's in the office, will Roe versus Wade get passed? Yes. And then when the office changes, 30, 40 years later, ha ha ha, we was just kidding. Back to the states. Like the battle for power, it goes over decades.
Do you know what really set this off for immigration is Kim Art? You know about that case?
Talk to me.
So Kim Art, his parents is not from the United States. They're from China, actually. He goes to China to visit his parents or something to that nature. He's coming back and he's not allowed in because they're saying, hey, your parents aren't citizens here. China had this, also they had this like declaration at the time that no Chinese citizen could be a citizen somewhere else. But his argument was, I was born here. So what he does is he used the 14th Amendment. Now, I'm going to argue on account of racism and white folk at that time not really feeling black folk, because we know that through Plessy versus Ferguson, when they ruled that to be constitutional, we know that they were not acknowledging what the 14th Amendment acknowledged. And they would even admit that case is questionable and wonky because they already talked about why they made that 14th Amendment. So when you look at that, that is the first case Supreme Court wise of immigration is using. Everybody else uses it.
I'm listening to these cases, right?
Right.
Whenever you mention any case when it comes to any law, some lawyer said, I'm willing to pay to go argue this case in court because I think that I can manipulate this thing to benefit me,
Right.
right? Or they'll go and create a new law. I'm just saying, this is just money. Politics is money. Laws is money. And at no point in time did black folks ever have any money to mediate on our behalf where they passed any law that explicitly said American descendants of slaves, freedmen.
Right.
It's not written in the Constitution that we are citizens of this great nation. It's lumped in and makes it ambiguous, which is why we're arguing it right now.
Do you think they have to be direct now? Because I think they do. I think they're being direct with their words, and they have to address why something happened. Now they have to actually go in. They have to go in and be direct if they're going to say that. If they're going to have an opportunity to say, "Hey, birthright citizenship belongs here," because there is an argument there. It's not for birthright citizenship does not address immigration. That's plain and simple. In the Constitution, it says that Congress will come up with the way to naturalize its citizens. It says the 14th Amendment is not about that. It got totally twisted. So this is where black folk also, we need to come together and say, hey, this does talk about us. This is what this does mean. Look at everything that has accompanied that 14th Amendment. All those civil rights acts have been there. Everybody else too.
And all I'm saying is black America, black Americans. I'm saying this very specifically. We align ourselves with other people's ideas, and
Come on.
if we have half of an idea, it gets co-opted by someone else.
Right.
I haven't seen any black politician hurt any black politician with any creative ideas. When you say people's names, there are amazing black American people, descendants of slaves, freedmen who are doing great political work. There are. I mean, can I name them off the top of my head? They're too busy doing the work. And a lot of times, man, it's hard to be great at, say, marketing while you're simultaneously being great at actually being in civil rights or building industries using black money to do these things. How do you publicize these things? You got to have coalition. But I'm saying we're so scattered, and while we're so scattered, we're so fragmented. Did I vote for Donald Trump? Hell yeah, I vote for Donald Trump. But that was an ideological thing, and lots of people voted for the man for a different reason. And if you try to put me into a reason why some guy in West Virginia voted for Donald Trump, hell, I listened to the things that Kamala Harris was saying. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can spend a whole bunch of money, but the money has to come from somewhere. And then that just means that, more government control. And if it's not a two-way conversation where I'm asking for the thing, I need the government to do what I asked the government to do. And so when we talk about policy, when we talk about any legislation that's ever been passed, man, right now, if I get jammed up with any type of legal matter, whether I'm getting sued or if I'm going to jail, I'm gonna have a hard time paying for this lawyer. I'm gonna have a hard time.
Right.
And so if the person who's trying to prosecute me, the person who's coming after me, if their pocket is more deeper than mine, I'm gonna have a hard time, man. I'm gonna have a hard time.
Listen, man.
I'm asking, does that make it right?
I'll say this: when you talk about having a hard time, I think that's most of Black America. I think most of black. On social media, we're up here trying to pretend as though everything is awesome, but for the most part, black people economically are under tyranny. You know, just being honest. We have an economic disparity that we need to address. I think right now, black people we don't have the energy to put it anywhere else. We have to be in our community talking about what it's going to take for us to actually compete. Because in this system,
they don't know. So tell them where they're going to start it. If we're going to have that conversation, for me, I think that the media is one of the most powerful tools that you could possibly have, right?
Right.
But if I'm going to speak about it, then I have to give them very specific directions and instructions on how to accomplish the thing. And I can't tell just because I voted for Donald Trump, I'm not going to advocate for another person to vote for Donald Trump, especially if they don't agree with that. I want you to vote for the thing that benefits you. I think that we're supposed to. I don't think immigration is a good thing. Now, not as it pertains to illegal immigration,
right,
by the tens of millions,
right.
I think that's insane. To have a nation, you got to have borders. And if any person says anything else, hold on, wait. What kind of game are you playing right now? You're not being a serious person.
Right.
You live this up to my favorite. And I think, it gets uncomfortable because when I start talking to black people very specifically, politically, they think they think the Democratic Party is part of their heritage. They think that a Democratic president freed them. They think that they think that the Emancipation Proclamation came under Abraham Lincoln, and Abraham Lincoln was a Democrat. He
Right.
was not. And so when you think about the people who granted you your actual liberation, you don't want to align yourself with those group of people. They say the party's flipped. The party's flipped. When? How? Lyndon Baines Johnson was a Dixiecrat, a Democrat, a Dixiecrat. He learned how to be a politician from his father as he sat underneath the table listening to these Texas politicians talk about these Negroes, hard ER. Like this was the discussion, and this is how Lyndon Baines Johnson carried himself, and this is the person who gave you the Great Society, right? And you think this Democrat is the greatest politician ever because he gave you welfare, but he's a Democrat. It never changed.
Right.
It never changed. This person who hates you bought you, and now you still vote for him because you think that is you. You think that you are the welfare child of America, and I'm like, you're not the welfare child of America. While simultaneously, Donald Trump isn't the answer. Like, ain't no emperor the answer to the people's problems. Like he's gonna say austerity, he's gonna cut programs, he's gonna cut food, he's gonna say, hey, we're poor because we spend too much money on poor people. And I think that's wrong
Right.
simultaneously.
Exactly. I agree.
And so politically, as a black heterosexual man,
Come on.
I'm a political nomad right now. Like there's no
Yep.
politician in America who's talking to me for me, not even the slightest bit.
And because of that, that's where this matters. So when you say where are we going to get that from, and you mentioned media, it starts here with thought leadership. You know, in the space, and this is not me just patting us on the back, patting you on the back.
Heavy.
But listen,
I'm just saying.
in the space,
They-
there's nothing like this that you provide as a black man. There's nothing like that.
That's the leaders.
Man, listen, this is thought leadership, and it needs to happen because we are simultaneously speaking as they are trying to address something that they brought on themselves through racism. So we can address the facts. The thing that black folk have to do first is lift up the man, the heterosexual black man in our community, the bearded brothers, go out, cut the grass, take care of the family. He has to be empowered again. We have so many issues and education. Do you know how many black folk I talk to that can articulate? Come on.
Because I don't know who's listening, but people are listening. And there's some woman
Yeah.
and she hears what I'm saying. And I'm not advocating for you. I just know that the way that right now, power is negotiation. Politics is negotiation. And so the bearded brothers have to have a political agenda.
Right.
And a lot of times, in order to have a beard, but you got to have beard care, beard oils. You know what I'm saying? Like it's maintenance. I'm saying a lot of the times we're separated economically,
beard oil.
and economically it shifts us politically. And man, a lot of black brothers when they have like over $100,000, they have enough money to feel like America's working for them. And so politically, they want to align themselves with every poor person in America with ideas that don't benefit anybody. Like voting for transgender rights doesn't benefit a person
When
who's
we get
black and
some-
married. It doesn't benefit Barack Obama.
Black men need to look towards great black male leadership.
What does that look like?
Us, people who can stand. You know what our men, what our people, especially when we think about masculinity, we equate that to the gangster, any man that's attached to criminality, because that's where the men in our community have been directed to go towards. So the first place we have to start is talking to that man too, and getting a recognition or recognizing, you know, what a real man is and what does masculinity look like in a direction that's going to lead a community toward out of this madness. And it ain't going to be somebody that's operating out of their emotions. It ain't going to be somebody that can't handle these tough conversations like that.
That person right now can't afford microphones. He can't afford a camera. He might have the know-how on how to do the thing, but he doesn't have the space or the lived experience to articulate, hey, this system right here, this is how it's impacting me. He's a person who's responding to an adverse situation. I hear them. I'm walking with my children to go check the mail, and my children are riding scooters, and these little boys, they say, look, they with their daddy. And it's like 6 little boys, and they say, man, I ain't never seen my daddy. And one said, I seen my daddy one time. I'm saying, man, they're out here living it. And how in the hell can they have an idea of a thing they ain't never even experienced before? One time they saw a man go to the mailbox with his children. They saw a father one time. And they like it's a myth or something. I'm not saying that's all black children, but for that group of 6 children, that's what they saw that day.
Right.
And for me to hear that, like, holy shit, how in the hell am I supposed to help them?
Some people ain't gonna get. Everybody ain't gonna get help. It's about the future. It's about creating ideology now. When you look at, an OG of mine told me that we study the white man's bad habits. We don't study the good habits. You know what we should be studying? The good habits of the white man, what he does. He has a long projection. What we seeing right now happen conservatively in the courts and everything that you see right now was a time. They set up a time where they want to at least go get the legal system in this country. They want to make that conservative. We have to look forward into the future and see what is it going to take, because a lot of the issues that we had, you got to think from 1619 all the way to 1865, all the way up to 1965. We damn near right there at 300 years. We're so far behind because we have been literally oppressed. So now we have to uplift our minds, and that's gonna be tough. So everybody ain't gonna get saved right away. There's some people right now they ain't gonna see the future.
I am a revolutionary.
Yes.
When you say study them, right there, man, I want to study Fidel Castro. I want to study Gandhi. I want to study Gaddafi. Like these people, these are lawyers. These are Che Guevara. These are doctors. Man, I want to study Martin Luther King. I want to study Malcolm X. Malcolm X is probably the only freedom fighter that I can think of off the top of my head who doesn't come from the professional class, who doesn't have like a high degree.
Right.
Right? Like poor people don't have the resources to fight for poor people. That's just not the thing. And so in the history, when they talk about us, it's someone else talking about us and what we're experiencing. It's someone else talking about those little poor boys. It's me talking about them and not to them. Because if I ask them about their situation, nigga, they gonna cry.
Right.
Because it hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts.
I mean, hey, look, things that we could do. So let's talk about things we could do right now. This is what I think could happen right at this moment.
Tell me.
Since y'all love that fucking Democratic Party so much, it can be taken over. The Democratic Party needs to be taken over, and it needs to reflect something different. And then what black think groups need to think about politically is how do we increase those numbers to push this agenda that it helps a class of people. Now, this is where I think Mexican Americans do come into play, because we're talking about political alignment for numbers that we use that could affect them, but we need those numbers as well. Okay? You got to think about where we are class-wise compared to everybody else, even business ship owner-wise.
Hey, can I be a revolutionary and a capitalist? Is that an oxymoron? Do those things are like a paradox?
Yes.
Because as a revolutionary, I think I'm supposed to also use the capitalist tools. Like,
yes.
While I'm doing this, as soon as I get to the place where I can pay people, then I have to pay people and I have to fund them and to grow the business. And so we have to build businesses, employ people, and employ people. Because people only vote based on their pockets, and if I can't change a person's pockets,
come on,
like it only sounds good. You feel what I'm saying?
I agree.
Like I want to entertain you. Hell, like I want you to know that this thing is happening, but I also want you to know that when you support me visually, somehow, some way, that creates the energy for the finances to come.
Right.
Our collective lived experience, it matters. Like
right.
I think there are a lot of men who want to be galvanized on reproductive rights, actual reproductive rights, where I can have a child, and that child, I get to raise them, I get to rear them, and that becomes an economic benefit to me as well as his mother, and not a financial liability. I think that's a conversation that we're supposed to be having.
Yes.
And so when we say being very specific, hey man, you want reproductive rights. Like you don't think that your child is supposed to be a burden upon you. This is supposed to be a blessing. I'm supposed to love my children. I'm supposed to be excited to see my children. Like when I see my children, I'm supposed to be like, hell yeah, daddy has food in the kitchen too, right? My food budget ain't supposed to go somewhere else. And a woman say, I only got $77. Nigga, give me my $77 back. And the state got 72. Huh? Like we were playing this game where we have the state. When I say I'm a revolutionary, man, our forefathers, those people ran away from a system that didn't benefit them, and they created a system that benefited them. And that system, it subjugated a lot of black folks. And I'm saying that I'm looking at that system, and I'm a lineage of the subjugated class of people. And now the only thing that I can do is negotiate less subjugation. And even though that I don't see that I'm not subjugated, nigga, you don't own anything. And when I say you don't own anything, the majority of you don't own anything.
That's true.
And so you're only speaking from a subjugated place. You can't speak from a place of power and ownership when you don't own nothing. And they said, "Oh, don't matter." Yes, it does.
But let's go back to media.
What's up?
Let's go back to media.
Media won't tell them that.
What are we watching? What are we always watching? What are we indulging as black folk collectively, the wide group of us? You can't have this very conversation. It's like, oh, it's like trying to wake somebody out their sleep because as soon as you say, I voted for Donald Trump, now they on your ass. Now they saying all kind of crazy stuff, trying to insult you. It's like, do you understand why I did it? When we say ideologically why we did it, we can't even get to that conversation because we are literally led by everything that we see the Democrats say. If it's like harmful and, oh, they're getting rid of the immigrants. Oh, the eggs are just expensive. Oh my God, the plane crashed and it's Donald Trump. It's like they have a meltdown. The black people they're taking advantage of your PTSD
Black
and real
people
oppression.
are creating the meltdown. Everything that goes against the Democratic Party is anti-black. Because I didn't vote for an Indian woman who likes to make curry sometimes, somehow that made me anti-black. Because I didn't want to vote for 73 genders and I only believe in 2, somehow that made me anti-black. Like, I don't have to agree with the president's political system. I understand what a president is. They're a powerful person that represents the interests of powerful people. They don't like my city representatives. They represent me, huh? Getting my sewage and my garbage and the school. You know what I'm saying? These people represent me. Those people that I'm talking about, they represent big money.
Yep.
And unless we can align collectively, ideologically, and when I say ideologically, child support is an ideological thing because it's a reproductive rights, and it's a financial thing because we're being taxed by the state. And I ain't never said I wanted to be taxed by the state. I gotta pay for my own baby. Look, that makes sense. Does it? Does it? How about I tax you for the air that you breathe? Huh? I say because I say so because I just feel like passing a law that says I'm going to charge you for a thing that I think is God's right. I think being a father is God's right. Me between me and that woman. However we negotiate it.
What can we do that will really, let's just go get cut to the chase. What capital injection can we give from the government that will directly affect black men? Of course, we're gonna have to mention other classes of people, but find out, hey, we need to affect this economic group, or we need to give some programs that will affect black men. That's what we need to start talking about because guess what? Black men need to have the capability to not only take care of themselves, but to provide and be able to come up, not have a foot constantly on it because it is child support a lot of times.
When you think about like it might have been white money and it might have been Jewish lawyers that were the real like the push behind the civil rights movement, but it was black bodies, huh? Black people actually lost their life.
Yeah.
Black people put their lives on the line. Like black people on the Montgomery bus boycotts, they really decided to impact the economy by not putting their money into the economy. That was a financial impact. Like when we have this conversation about civil rights, what they didn't do nothing. There is power in movement, huh?
Yeah.
Like buffaloes, tens of millions of buffaloes shaped America. Literally, you see all these caverns and shit that's carved. Some was water, some was buffalo.
Right.
That's the power of force. And
Right.
I'm saying there's tens of millions of forceful men that when you show up, I don't have to do anything wrong, but you have to do something with me. You have
Right.
to talk to me. You have to enter a negotiation with me. You're gonna ask me why are you here, and when I say while I'm here, you're gonna say or, and then now we're talking, or I'll withdraw my energy from your system. And when tens of millions of people withdraw energy from a system, it impacts the system. This is power talk. This is honest talk. So when you say, what can we do? Man, mass movements work. You got goddamn the most powerful tools in the history of the world. And we talking about whatever. I'm about to say some booties because that's what I see a lot. That's my algorithm. I like the big fat juicy round booty.
Yeah, that should be all on my explore page on Instagram. I got a question for you since you're talking about a movement. So today, February 3rd, my birthday, man. We shout out to February 3rd, man. You know what I'm saying? Big 40, I'm but I got a question. Immigration.
I'm happy.
Undocumented workers.
I have 4 kids and more on the way. These are my confessions.
They have a movement going on right now where they are boycotting. They're not going to work, school, or whatever the case may be, and they're boycotting today in protest of getting more rights for undocumented workers.
Undocumented workers. Hey,
What do you think about that?
they really love cheap labor. They really do. I mean, these people come in, they in their minds they do a job that Americans don't want to do. Man, an economy is going to either is going to find the person or it's going to create the thing to do the job if the job is worth being done. In a capitalist nation, if there's no people to do the job, then that means that hey, the job goes away. A Blockbuster don't exist no more, bro. You know what I'm saying? GameStop is fading away. Like people stop reading the newspaper. You know what I'm saying? When you have technological advances, that changes the way that we engage with the world. And so, if you don't have the thoughts to create to compete in this new technological age, god damn, it's gonna be hard.
Yeah, man, technology is really moving in a direction where it ain't stopping. AI is going where it's going. I definitely think that there'll be some job replacement. So, not to be a conspiracy theorist, but is this where this birthright citizenship thing is going? Hey, like, these are the people that belong here. These are the people that we have to give this stipend to to live. And
Like before you start negotiating my money, you have to talk to me about my money.
right.
Like, come on, they don't have a stake in this thing. They're not unless they're showing up with some money. Unless you're showing up with $15,000, you don't got no skin in the game.
Right.
You want to go to my school, eat my food, you want me to pay for it. Like that's the conversation. Anytime you have a conversation about tax dollars in America, you're talking about my money.
Right.
I don't give a shit if you're poor. Hey, if you are a citizen of America, you invest in this place with your life, huh?
Yeah.
You were born here. Your birth was what has a financial impact. They pay money and create bonds because you exist.
Hey, that's true. Hey, I don't think the boycott for immigration works. I think this continues. I think we see the next 4 years we do see a mass deportation. I didn't think it was gonna be like this, but we definitely see it.
Negroes don't understand how valuable they are. Like I think the Black American, the descendants of Black slaves. Goddamn, it's a fucking mouthful. I wish niggas could just be niggas. I wish when I said niggas, I meant American niggas. Like if I need to preface other people. Like if I'm talking about a Jamaican motherfucker, I gotta say a Caribbean nigga or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, but if I say nigga, just generically nigga, the generic nigga is the American nigga. We are the generic nigga. Yeah, born and raised in America.
Born and raised in the USA, and they have to acknowledge that. That's what I want everyone to understand. Without you asking for it, because they put themselves in a bind, they have to mention you. So you are very valuable. You need to be informed. You need to take this moment right now, wake up. I am seeing Black people wake up by the day by questioning things. Good. Collectively wake up, politically come together and realize, hey, that we have stake in this country. We're
I'm
American.
I'm so thankful for my forefathers. I'm so thankful for Martin Luther King. Man, Mark Lamont Hill said that he drank a fifth of whiskey every single day, and as soon as he said that, I just related instantaneously. I'm like, this guy is married. He's on the road. People are threatening his life. Man, if he ain't drinking a fifth of whiskey, I don't know what else there is to do, nigga. Man, that's the highest of stresses. You hear me? I am a
Yeah, that's
father.
crazy.
I'm a man. I understand. And so all of a sudden that normalized him and humanized him. And so for these people at that time, I think they thought that blackness was implied. They didn't know that the way the law was going to be written was going to be 7 pages and include all these other people. And so now when you fast forward to see how the thing that was implied has now been used based on the specificity of the law, you're like, holy, there's no way that they could have prepared for that. You know what I'm saying? Like they were fighting against brutality. Like that's just like I'm fighting against ideas and financial oppression, maybe some social representation. But them niggas was fighting against terrorism. Again, oops, upside your head. I said, oops, upside your head.
The very thing
They
that
said, don't you laugh at my ancestors getting popped. That's my ancestors too, you dodo bird. Motherfucking shit.
the very thing that they said they wanted to forget about, they got to revisit.
Sorry, Gramps.
They have to revisit They have to now because you said something powerful. You said it was implied. We knew when we said race, religion, we were talking about Black folk.
There was nobody else here.
But they spent this whole time. It was a long time ago. We don't want to. Now you see how you have to confront it because it's been utilized for someone else. And I know it took you a long time. You ain't want to say it. But yeah, And guess what? I'm happier I voted for Donald Trump now. Now I'm even more excited than I've ever been in my life. I mean, I'm skinning and grinning that I voted for Donald Trump.
Hey, you being hyperbolic, man, because like shit. I am a revolutionary.
Facts.
That's a that I respect the fact that he's in power, and I want to negotiate with his power.
Facts.
And
No,
I want to
right.
establish power on behalf of myself and other people who are ideologically aligned with me, financially aligned with me, politically aligned with me. Let's do some work. Let's get busy. But it starts with this conversation. It starts with like you tapping in the comments. We got to go live. We got to get engaged because we don't have this. And when I say we don't have this, I'm saying there is no black constitution. You watch other people and you take their documents and be like, oh shit, well, there should be a black 2525 or 2025. I'm gonna take what they did and I want to do it too. Mr. Me Too. Mr. Me Too. That's a song by goddamn Pharrell Williams and Pusha T. I believe.
Pharrell out here looking like a girl. But anyways.
That's what money do to you. Like,
nah,
hey,
I don't want that much money.
Once you get that rich, all of a sudden gender just goes away. It just does.
And that's why they trying to push that. That's why they trying to push it. Nah, man, hey.
You say he was looking like a girl. I mean, because
he wearing like bell bottoms. Yeah, I'm just seeing little posts on Facebook where he just look like a girl, man. I watched Pharrell get so gay over the years.
What kind of like who are these designers? The majority of the fashion houses, they're all homosexual based, trans based, right?
Right.
You look at everybody, all the people, the social media designers, they're all like asocial. You know, like our clothes are built by these types of people. Our digital world is built by these people. Our laws are passed by these people.
So we only recognizing two genders, men and women. Yeah, we gonna make it. Hey, listen, I listen. Nah,
people act like he just woke up and it just happened. All of a sudden, it just happened. No. They've been curating culture.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's definitely true. I just want to wear regular clothes, bro. I'm 40 now, so I just want some cool stuff to wear. I just want regular pants. I don't want my pants to flower at the bottom. I want to wear like, just some cool uncle shit that I got on right now. I don't want to wear that. When I see older men doing it too, like even someone like just any old school dude with them little skinny pants on and the flower at the bottom. That shit is like, man, come on, bro.
This is how they got. This is how they just wiggled the finger in. You know what I'm saying, around the rim a little bit for heterosexual men in the '90s. They said metrosexual. It was like, you know what I'm saying, you get your nails done and your clothes done. They said metrosexual. I do like to. This is how. And so they got me with sapiosexual, to be in love with a person's mind. I said, hell yeah, I do fall in love with a bitch's thoughts. You know, so when a bitch say something sexy to me, I do like that shit. And they said, you're a sapiosexual. And I was like, yeah. But these are just ideas to wiggle you into their way of world. You're different just like me. We're embracing just like me.
I never say anything outside of the realm of pussy. Like, that's what I want. You could be a great thinker, but bottom line, we getting down to this kitty cat. So, I remember the whole sapiosexual thing and all these other, man, get out of town. You smart.
What I'm saying is, as soon as you embrace an ideology, as soon as you acknowledge the ideology, they can shift your brain, and now they're whispering in your ear, and you find yourself in the Democratic Party talking about trans people and marching for a god doggone immigration. They deserve rights too, just like my grandfather.
I be seeing y'all write that, and I be like, "What the fuck is wrong with y'all?"
Hey, when my grandfather when my great great grandfather was a slave, you know what they was doing? In Mexico, chilling, living, Colombia, chilling, living life.
Someone talked about Mexico emancipating slaves in 1829, but I'm like, but they allowed the slaves in Texas. They allowed the Anglo-Saxons to bring slaves into Texas so they could fight the Indians. What are you talking about? Like, yeah. And they lost the war. Like, I hate when people say, "Oh, this belonged to Mexico and California did too." No, they lost the war, and the rest of that land was purchased, if I'm not believed.
When you start talking about like actual policies, right? And it's because a woman said rights. Hey, if you can't defend your rights, what kind of rights do you have, huh? There's two people in the room. Who has rights, huh? I'm hungry. There's one honey bun. Who has the rights, huh? How are we going to negotiate? What power do you have to negotiate? And so when they say these things, man, I look back at those times, and they sit there and they say, "Oh, we were free." Yeah, yeah, yeah. Reconstruction. They kept them off our ass for a little bit. The federal government kept us off them for just a little while. And what happens after that? Hey, you on your own, nigga. Hey, you could build that house, but you can't paint it.
Trying not to get lynched.
This is the battle to be black in America, and for someone to just say that I'm finna pass a law to just be like, you're just like me. You're discounting. When I say you don't understand your value, you just don't understand. You don't understand. You don't care. You don't care.
Because you're not acting like you're the greatest American alive.
The greatest American alive. The greatest American alive. The greatest American alive. The greatest American alive. The greatest American alive.